This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hi guys, we're back the day after Thanksgiving and we have Karen here. Hi Karen, how you doing?
Great. Happy holidays.
And hope you guys survived the Thanksgiving meals, right? Well, today we're going to take your questions. A lot of the questions are going to be related to, like usual, keto, but feel free to ask other questions about your body. If you wanted to call in, the number is 866-561-4292. All right, so we're going to take the first call from Brooke from Tennessee. You are on the air. Go ahead, you had a question.
Yeah. I was just wondering, my friend thinks that the tryptophan in turkey is a large enough amount to actually make you sleepy after the Thanksgiving meal, and I was just wondering how I could prove to them that that's not true, that it's like low blood sugar. And also, my grandfather has sleepy after the Thanksgiving meal, and I was just wondering how I could prove to them that that's not true. That it's
Okay, good. So let me answer that question. I think we got a little scrambled right there.
Yeah,
I don't know where that's coming from.
I have no idea where that's coming from.
Okay, so let me answer that question, Brooke. Okay, good. So let me what's happening over here? Question. I think we got a little scrambled right there. All right. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, that's better. Okay, so question was, does tryptophan in the turkey make us tired? That is actually a myth. Let me explain tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid. And tryptophan is one of the largest amino acids compared to other amino acids. So it's really only absorbed on an empty stomach. So because if it's combined with other protein, it's never going to work. So the real reason why people get tired after the Thanksgiving meal is because of the starches combined with the sugar, combined with the massive amount of protein that people have. It's going to spike insulin. Everyone's going to be falling asleep, you know, taking their nap. And that's really what's behind the sleepiness, is not the tryptophan. In fact, you really, you know, what we did yesterday was we basically didn't have any sugar. We had the protein. As far as our starches, instead of mashed potatoes, we did cauliflower mashed potatoes. It was incredible. Karen is an awesome cook. And no sugar, so that's the way to go. And I think we got cut off from the other question, so you can call back on that one. So, Arlene, you had a question. You're from Delaware. Go ahead.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a problem with intermittent fasting. I eat 2 meals a day, sometimes one. But this is how I do it. I eat bacon and eggs in the morning, maybe around 1 o'clock. And then maybe around 6 o'clock, I'll have my last meal, which will be a meat and vegetables. But I'm dealing with not being able to move my bowels like my body feels it should. And when should I be able to put in like regular vegetables like lettuce and stuff like that? Because I think that's what my body is lacking. How should I add that into my diet?
Okay, good question, Arlene. The whole key point on this program is to have unlimited vegetables and salad, so you need to be putting that back in immediately. What happens when you do the ketogenic diet, one of the biggest missing links or things that people omit is enough vegetables to get the potassium to keep the bowels going. Usually if you increase that, you're going to start going on a regular basis. So it's going to be very simple. Add more vegetables into your diet, lots of them, like at least 7 cups up to 10, and you should be going on a regular basis. Because think about it, the fiber in the vegetable feeds the microbe. Microbes do not consume or eat probiotics. Probiotics are the microbes. So the probiotics and friendly flora in your gut, those guys, they eat the fiber, and then they make a certain type of nutrient that actually feeds your colon cells. But they need the vegetable to be able to work correctly, all right? Versus the grain fiber, which I don't agree with. But that was a really good question. So Karen, let's take a question from Facebook. Do you have any questions coming up here?
Yes, as usual, I have a lot. Just sort of hello to everybody. Just getting oriented here, so I'm going to ask you to take one more call.
Okay, good. So, hey, Jack, you're on the air. You're from Alberta, Canada. You had a question.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
First thing, I'd like to wish you and Karen a happy day after Thanksgiving. American Thanksgiving, that is.
Thanks.
First off, I'd like to say thank you for all of your advice and information. In the past 5 months doing keto and IF, I've been able to lose about 70 pounds. And
Wow.
luckily was able to fit into my wedding tuxedo.
Oh, that's great.
So,
That's
you guys
awesome.
have, yeah, so you guys have been a great help. So my question is on, sort of macros and intermittent fasting, where I've been doing the 1 meal a day for like about 5 months now, with amazing results, obviously. But my question comes down to protein, where I know generally you recommend, 0.4 grams per, pound of body weight, or not, a very moderate amount. But when I'm still around the 220 pound mark, that still leaves me at about 80 to 100 grams of protein a day.
Right.
So if I'm eating only 1 meal a day,
Right.
and we know that excessive amounts of protein in 1 meal is going to get converted to glucose anyways, what do you recommend in that type of situation? Should I just kind of forget about it and just focus mostly on the vegetables and fats?
Good
Or
question.
should I still try to get as much protein as I can?
Good question. All right, what city are you in? Calgary?
I'm in Edmonton.
Edmonton. They have quite a large
just
mall
north
up
of
there, don't
Calgary.
they? Have you ever been to that mall?
They do. Yes, I'm actually just leaving that mall right now. So on the bus.
In college, I drove through that, and Canada. We went to that mall. It was the most amazing thing. I think it's the largest mall in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up there now. It's in the top 5 at least.
Wow. That probably takes a whole week to get through the mall. So that's awesome.
It's good exercise. It's good
Focus,
exercise.
Dr. Berg.
All right, let's get back to
Here.
the question.
Eye on the bunny.
Okay, so Jack, here's the thing. When you're doing 1 meal a day, there's always this. I always talk about, you have to get your nutrients and kind of cram that in there. But if you were to take, let's say 6 ounces of that protein, times 3, and that's a lot of protein, right? That's a huge amount of protein. And so here's the catch-22. Your body could really only absorb about 35 to 45 grams of protein per meal. Okay, that comes down to about 6 to 7 ounces to maybe 8 ounces. But let's say 6 to 8 ounces, okay? So anything extra is going to turn to glucose. Now, when you're doing intermittent fasting, something happens in your body that's different than if you're doing several meals a day. One is that your body starts conserving protein. It starts to save proteins. It doesn't break them down as much. So your protein metabolism becomes very, very efficient. So really you don't need as much protein because your body is in autophagy where it's recycling the protein more and you're not wasting the protein. So autophagy is just basically the body's ability to recycle proteins and other things. So you really don't have to stuff yourself too much with that protein. Maybe you do 8 ounces and you're good. And just focus on the nutrients and don't worry about trying to get massive amounts of protein in that one sitting. But that was a good question.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Karen, go ahead.
Okay, so I get to ask a couple questions now because it took a second to ramp up. But one question is what to do for acne.
Okay. All right.
Then come back to me.
Okay, so is it cystic acne or is it just regular acne, Karen?
Doesn't,
Okay.
I don't know that everyone with acne knows
All right,
even
so,
what that is.
so there's a type of acne which is really painful. You get on your shoulders and it's like it forms a cyst. That comes when you have something called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, what is that? That's a condition with females. They have these little extra things growing on the ovaries, and you have high levels of androgens. It's male hormones, and you get facial hair, you lose your hair, you get a deeper voice, and you get acne. Other than that, you're perfectly fine. But that really comes from the same condition that causes polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is high insulin. So if you want to fix insulin resistance, all you have to do is lower your insulin. So the program that I'm recommending over and over and over and over on Facebook and YouTube and the book on my website and right now is intermittent fasting and ketosis. Those two together will help the cystic acne. So the main thing, it's really just the insulin, dropping the insulin. And then if you do this and you still have problems, then you really need to add more B vitamins, because if you're deficient in B vitamins, you have all sorts of skin issues. Vitamin A is another factor. That's why Accutane, which is a synthetic vitamin A, works, but it actually comes with a package. Creates a lot of side effects, so I don't recommend it. But vitamin A would be like cod liver oil and butter and things like that. So I would just focus on dropping insulin. All right, next question, Karen.
Okay, good. So the next question is technical, but I'm going to ask a question here because I don't know that everybody watching knows this. A lot of conversation about macros, asking questions about the macros. What is that? What is macro?
Macros has to do with basically the bigger categories of like proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, as far as percentages or grams, okay? So that's macros. And then micronutrients would be like vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, essential fatty acids, amino acids. So when talking about macros, we're talking about like how many carbohydrates, how much protein, how much fat. Okay. So do you want to know what the macros are for the ketogenic diet, or do you just want to know what that means?
Sure. Why don't you do that now? Because now people will ask if you don't say that. So
okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So in a ketogenic diet, the macros, as far as a percentage goes, you want to keep your carbohydrates like 5% of the whole calorie per day. 5%. That's pretty low. That's like 20 to 50 grams. Okay. Now the fat macros should be 75%. That's a lot, but just realize percentage-wise it's a lot, but fat is more than double the calories. So in other words, it's not as much as you think. And again, a lot of this is kind of, you might need to get my booklet to read up on more of it, but the protein should be 20%. It's a moderate amount of protein of the whole day. So those are the macro percentages. All right, Karen?
Okay, good. What, do I get another one?
You think you answered your two. I'm going to go to Cherie. You're from Indiana. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, I was wondering. Thanks again for taking the time out to talk to us.
You're welcome.
But I was wondering, I have generally eaten pretty healthy and always have tried to keep meats to a minimum. I love bacon. I love adding that to my diet, as part of the ketogenic diet. But I was wondering, do you have any other suggestions on how to keep, I don't want to keep eating pork, but do you have any other suggestions on how to maintain that ketogenic level? And I'm a simple eater too. I don't like to cook a lot.
Okay.
So the simpler the better. How do you do keto simply?
Right. I know are you willing to consume like eggs, things like that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let me give you some tips. One of the best proteins that you can get is eggs. I eat a lot of eggs. Don't I, Karen?
Yes, a couple dozen a week.
Yeah, this is the problem. Every time I go to the grocery store, people freak out. They're like, what are you guys doing with all those eggs? I'm talking like probably 7 dozen eggs we go through a week. Of course, we have 12 kids, but no, we only 2 are living at home. But the point is we eat a lot of eggs. Egg is the perfect protein. Recently, we went to a bed and breakfast out in the Purcellville, Virginia, and they had a whole, like these chickens, grass, fed on the grass, and they ate like natural grains. It was freaking amazing. I mean, we bought pretty much every egg that they had. Duck eggs. Try to crack those things. They're like hard as rocks. Very healthy. I love those eggs. But the point is the egg is a really good protein source. You can do fish, seafood like in calamari or shrimp. That's totally fine. Crab, that's totally fine. It's not an unhealthy thing like people think, even though it's high in cholesterol. So you don't have to do actual, you don't have to do turkey, you don't have to do pork, you don't have to do beef. You can do eggs. And you know what? Another thing that's really good is cheese has a lot of protein and very low carb. So if you do a grass-fed cheese, you can do that as well. So the problem becomes when you want to do completely vegetarian proteins, because then it's hard to find a high protein source for that without getting the carbs. All right, good question. Hey Debbie, we're going to take a question from you before we go to Karen. You're from Tennessee. Go ahead.
Hi. First, I want to say how lucky Karen is to have such a compassionate husband like you.
Make note, Karen.
Now, my question is, first, I'm 58, and for years I've done the Atkins diet when I would gain weight, but I haven't done it in at least 15 years. I had gastric bypass, which was the worst thing I ever did in my life. It caused a bowel blockage, which almost killed me. And I've had to have other surgeries, which caused problems, which I'll mention in a minute. But I'm doing the keto. I think I'm doing it right. I'm new to your program. I'm reading, watching every video you have. But first of all, is Atkins close enough to the ketogenic diet?
Okay, good question. All right, so let me just answer that. The booklet that you should get, you probably already have the book, but there's a booklet that comes with it if you get on the website, or you can get it separately on a Kindle on Amazon. But the booklet that comes with it is called It's Not Lose Weight to Get Healthy, It's Get Healthy to Lose the Weight. It's a condensed version. It shows you all the basics. The difference between Atkins and what I'm recommending, there's some key differences. Number one, Atkins goes too high on the proteins. So they don't restrict the proteins. And because protein can trigger insulin. So I like to keep the proteins between 3 to 6 ounces. The other thing that the Atkins diet does not emphasize enough is the vegetable amounts. They kind of say keep your carbs down, including vegetables. I'm telling you, unlimited vegetables. Okay, that's the two differences that I would recommend. And then of course you're avoiding, refined sugars, and you're consuming fats, and all that is fine. So that would be the tweaks that I would recommend. All right, so we're going right to Karen. Do you have any questions coming up, Karen?
First of all, people love you, okay?
Well, I love them.
Are telling me repeatedly. Now, there's a pretty common question coming up. It comes up all the time. People have attention on calories and want to know how many calories a day. You want to handle that?
Yeah. So this whole calorie thing is a bit of a less important thing because it's really, here's the problem. We've already tested this low calorie thing for years. We know it doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. Talk to anyone who's done low calorie diets because it's going to slow your metabolism. However, that being said, if you keep your vegetables very, very high and forget about the calories, and you keep your proteins to 3 to 6 ounces, then we're only left with one last topic, and that would be the fat and the fat calories. So let's just bring this up as you reminded me, Karen. Let's talk about this, because this is where the confusion comes in. This is like the wild variable that people don't know. What should I do? How many fat calories? When I say 75% of your diet should be calories, you're like, oh my God, that's like huge chunks of lard, right? No, it's actually not that much. In the booklet, I show pictures, so I can't really show you pictures right here, but here's a couple tips on that. If you start out doing this and you do too much protein, you're going to get right shoulder pain and headaches because it's going to overload your gallbladder, you can feel bloated, it's going to hit a nerve and go right to the right shoulder area, and that's when you know you have too much. If you don't have enough fat, you're not going to be able to make it from one meal to the next because you're going to be starving, especially if you have low blood sugars, so you need to kind of adjust that back and forth. So it's different for everyone. In the beginning, you're going to need more fat. Then later on, as your body adapts to ketosis and your body is burning fat, you want your body to burn your own fat, not necessarily the diet fat that you're consuming. So those are some real key principles to focus on, because just go gradual and see what your sweet spot is. I mean, I don't even care if it's a lot of fat in the beginning, because we're trying to get your body to adapt as long as it's not too much and it's going to overload your ability to digest the fat. That's the key point. And I just wanted to take a side note here to let everyone know, because there's been a lot of questions in the last couple of days. Will we be doing a Black Friday special. Yes, we are. If you go to the site, it's Black Friday, 20% off all the supplements and books. Go to drberg.com, but here's what you have to do. You have to type in the secret code, which is Dr. Berg, once in the checkout. D-R-B-E-R-G. That's D-R-B-E-R-G. There's a couple new products. One is this really cool one right here. This is the electrolytes in a little box. This is kind of a grab and go. They come in little packets, so you can, just go ahead and stick this in your water because a lot of people wanted to carry it around. So this is really cool. This one you may have known about. This is the nutritional yeast product. I really like this because this is a non-fortified nutritional yeast. You take it as a tablet. There's no synthetics. And it has B12 that's natural. One little thing, the pills are a little bit bigger, but you can cut them in half and swallow them. But especially like B1, this is really will help you for your stress and also to do the keto adaptation. Do you like these, Karen?
I love them. I love them.
They're really good. So those are, and it's also, we have a keto kit I just put together. You can check that on the site, but it's only for today, so you can check it out. All right.
The sale's only for today.
Yes.
The kit is
No, this is only good for
forever.
today. No, I'm just kidding. We're only selling it and then we're taking it off forever.
Okay, pick me.
Okay, Karen, do you have a question?
Okay, yes. Explain how keto diet, or whatever your recommendation is, for allergies and asthma.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's just take asthma, for example. Okay, asthma is kids that go out in the sun in the summer. All of a sudden, that have asthma. All of a sudden, their symptoms go away, and that's because of the vitamin D. Vitamin D is great for the immune system, and so a lot of times asthma will be helped by vitamin D. But what's underneath that is an adrenal issue that is setting the person up for lung issues, because what is the treatment for asthma that most people have to take? It's bronchosteroid inhalers, right, Karen? Prednisone.
Right.
So what happens is that, what is that? That's adrenal hormones. So they're taking adrenal hormones because they're running out of adrenal hormones. So if they support the adrenal, you can actually improve asthma. Now, as far as allergies, that's an adrenal issue as well. I should do a video on specifically this topic because what's the treatment for a lot of even like really severe allergies? You get an EpiPen, epinephrine, that's adrenaline. That's an adrenal hormone. Again, adrenal. So there's a connection there. But when you do the keto and intermittent fasting, it starts to clean up the microbes, the fungus, the mold, the bacteria that shouldn't be there, infected cells. So it's really, really, really good for the immune system. And one last thing, Karen, 80% of your immune system is in your GI system. So when you do intermittent fasting...
My GI.
Your gastrointestinal, your
My gut. Okay.
Sorry. That's terrible.
I think it's in your GI. It's not in my GI.
80% of your immune system is in our digestive system. So when you do intermittent fasting, you actually greatly take the stress off your immune system indirectly, and you improve those conditions. So yes, I would recommend, that's the long version to tell you, yes, to help yourself, go on those two actions. All right, now Debbie, you're from Tennessee. I think I just answered your question, but I wanted to make sure if you're okay on that. So I'm going to go to May Gunn from Georgia. You had a question about liver body type. Go ahead.
Hi, yes.
Hi.
Well, I am 37 and have been kind of trying to figure out what's going on with my blood sugar and body, gut, and all that for years. And I found you, so I'm very thankful to have started learning from you. And I took the assessment, and I'm a primary liver type, but I am I'm not needing to lose weight and have been thin my whole life, kind of an anomaly to the endocrinologist, and having high blood sugar, A1C about 6.4, and low thyroid. So as I looked at your program, and it says for the liver body type to kind of hold back a little bit on the fats, I wondered, can I go into ketosis, holding back on the fats when I've tried to go into ketosis before I've had pain in the right side and issues with the liver, although I was not doing all the greens that you recommend.
Okay, good question. Very good question. So this brings up a really good point. People assume that if you're skinny, all your blood sugar levels and your inside of your body is all healthy. Not necessarily. So there's just as many thin people that have internal stuff that's not right, as well as overweight people. So this is a good example where you have your A1C. A1C is an average of blood sugars for 3 months. So it kind of gives you what your normal is. 6.4 is a bit on the high side. It should be like 5. I think the normal cutoff would be like 5.4. So it's a little too high. So we have a blood sugar problem. Adrenal body types can't tolerate as much fat because the gallbladder is involved, right? So here you are trying to do this and you get this full sensation on the right side and you might have a gallbladder issue. So what I'm going to recommend is that you add the vegetables in there to offset the heavy protein and the fat, okay? That's all you really need to do. And maybe adjust the fat so your fat is not like crazy high and you can digest it, because the heavy fats tend to, oh, Karen, what you doing over there? You're just eating some pie?
You're working.
In the middle? Okay. And by the way, that's a sugar-free pie, right?
Cheesecake.
Okay. Cheesecake, okay. So the point is that you can do fats, but just offset it with the vegetables and you should be fine, but you might have to work up to that to strengthen it. And that way your blood sugar values will come right down to a normal level and you'll be really happy. Okay, good question. So Karen, did you enjoy that little treat there?
Yes.
Like no sugar. And I think we have some recipes on the site for these pies and pecan. What did you make yesterday?
Yesterday, for dessert?
Yeah.
2 pecan pies, a cheesecake, a pumpkin pie, and a strawberry pie.
A strawberry pie. Come on. That's incredible. So the crust was made from almond flour, right?
Yep. Now I need a cup of tea.
Yeah, that was amazing. So let's go right to Chris. You're from New Jersey. You had a question about nosebleeds. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you
Hi.
so much for all that you do. I really appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
I've been following you for a long time. I'm sorry?
Oh, awesome. My pleasure.
I have your book. I just recently received it, and I haven't had a chance to, get into it because I just had my dad move in with us. It's a little bit crazy right now. But my question is, I started keto in June because I'm a teacher, and and I was feeling great, losing weight, not feeling hungry, doing as much salad as possible. I've always been a big salad eater, low sweet tooth my whole life. And then right before school started, I went to visit a colleague of mine who just had a baby, and I was sitting in her living room, and I was like, you know how you feel like your nose is just going to run? Mm-hmm. And I put my hand up to my face, and I had a nosebleed, and I never, in my whole life, even as a child, never had a nosebleed. So I got a little worried, and I started to think, where did this come from? Because the only thing I was doing differently was following this diet. So I Googled it, and there was something out there. So I immediately threw a carb into my diet, a donut, because I got fearful. But I only had the nosebleed 2 days, like at night and then the next morning. My mistake was I got a little worried and upset, and I took 2 Excedrin the night before. So needless to say, the nosebleed the next day was like almost like a hemorrhage because my blood was so thin from the Excedrin.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was related, and I haven't had one since, but I did go back on keto. So I'm presently back doing it because I felt great.
Okay, let me ask you some questions about that. Do you have a history of any sinus issues?
Well, yeah, I kind of have like postnasal drip. I don't have, that's the only thing I know that I have. I mean, I don't have any problems that I need to be treated for. I'm not taking any medication.
Before you did the ketogenic diet, were you on any medications?
No, I'm on none. I'm 54 and pretty okay with blood pressure. Keep up to date with all my doctor appointments, and so blood sugar is always good.
Okay. Well, let me just kind of give you the 3 top things that would cause a nosebleed. This is just an interesting point. Low vitamin D levels would do this. So I'm glad that it cleared up. and it should be fine, but if you're low on vitamin D, and the best source of vitamin D is virgin cod liver oil. It's awesome. And the sun, okay? So those two are the best sources of vitamin D. The other cause of nosebleeds would be low vitamin C levels, which doesn't sound like that's your problem. If you're low in vitamin C because you're not having enough vegetables, that could cause it, because if you think about the symptom from vitamin C, a mild version of scurvy, which is like bleeding gums because it affects the capillaries and the collagen, it can happen in the nose. It's rare, but that's one thing, especially people that do synthetic vitamin C or they do no vegetables. So that's a common thing. Also, insulin resistance will cause an ability to absorb vitamin C. So that could be another situation. But typically the ketogenic diet should not create any deficiencies that cause this. It should improve it over time. The last thing I would say, if someone was on a blood thinner, of course that would do it, or if they have a sinus issue and it got irritated, and then that can cause the bleeding. But I think you're fine now, but those are some points that I would recommend. So, but that's a really interesting question. I'm going to take a question from Davian from Arizona. Go ahead.
And then me.
Yeah.
And then me.
Then you can ask a question. Are you there?
Hi, Mr. Berg.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Good.
It's actually Davian. Davian, that's my name.
Davian. Okay.
All right. Well, so here's the thing. I've done keto 3 times, and what I mean by 3 times, I mean I failed 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I did it was about 6 months ago, and I did it for 6 days. And what killed me was my sugar cravings.
Mm-hmm.
That got me out of it the first time. Second time was hunger. So I was able to, because I was doing it with intermittent fasting, and I actually worked my way up to like maybe 16 hours fasting,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling fine. But when it was time to eat, it just wasn't enough, and I would break it. Then the last time, which was about a couple weeks ago, I worked my way up to about 22 hours fasting,
Mm-hmm.
comfortably, and I don't know. The same thing, hunger. I just couldn't stay consistent with keto.
Okay.
And so I did it for 2 weeks. So I worked my way for 2 weeks, but I just need help trying to find a meal plan so I can stay satiated.
All right, let me just tell you what I would do if I were you. I think that you're going into this a little bit too fast. I think I would gradually work into it. To go that many hours without eating, especially if you probably have a hypoglycemic or low blood sugar issue, you're going to like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. You should do this so gradual so it's really, really comfortable. And what I mean by that is you start with 3 meals a day, and then you gradually start pushing up your breakfast an hour until you get to 2 meals a day, okay? And then you can start to push up these meals closer and closer together by adding more fat at the meal. If you are craving sweets when you're doing this, all this means is you haven't adapted yet, and you have to give it more time. If you're hungry between the meals, what that means is you haven't adapted, and you just have to go more gradually and back down. But if done correctly, hunger and cravings will completely go away to the point where you're like completely handled. And so the other thing that's missing is the amount of vegetables. If you're not doing the vegetables, you're going to find it might not work because you need the potassium to help this all magically work out nicely. All right, so those are the points that I would recommend, I think, and then it will work for you. All right, Karen, over to you.
Okay. I have the best job in the world because I get to see all these people communicating to us all the time. It's hysterical, and we love you guys too. Now, there's a lot of questions on different social media platforms about headaches and migraines, and there are a variety of questions, but I'll give you that one as my first, but I reserve the right to have another question.
All right, you get 2 questions every 5 minutes. All right, so now the headaches and migraines, the number one cause for headaches and migraines is related to the gallbladder. So let's talk about that first. If the gallbladder is sluggish, or it's lacking bile, or it's irritated because you're doing too many of the wrong foods, especially, it's really the carbs and the junk food that destroy the gallbladder more than the fat. Fat will do it too, but not if you don't consume all that other stuff with it. But there's a nerve that's connected underneath the right side of the diaphragm that When the gallbladder swells up, it puts pressure on the nerve and it goes to the right side. It goes all the way up to your head, especially if it's on the right side of your head. The way that you would know that it's the gallbladder, and here you are with a headache, just press on the gallbladder for a minute and see if it gives you relief. And all of a sudden, wow, my headache's gone. Then we know it's that. The other cause of headaches is it's a subclinical blood sugar issue. It's low blood sugar. It's called hypoglycemia because your brain, one of the fuels that it runs on if you're not in ketosis is glucose. It loves glucose. So if you're low on glucose because you have insulin resistance, which is prediabetes, and you can have normal blood sugars and have this, by the way. And that's why you have to check your fasting insulin level if you really want to figure this out. But if the brain doesn't have enough glucose, it will start creating all sorts of problems in the vascular system and cause headaches and migraines. So if you were to fix the blood sugar problem, insulin resistance, and do what I'm talking about, the headaches should go away. Another cause of headaches, which is more rare, is sinus stuff. And then the other one would be an old head injury. And I did a video on headaches, and you can actually type on Google headaches or migraines in Dr. Berg and find it. And I even show you the technique on how to improve damage from a head injury with acupressure. It's pretty cool. So check it out. All right, question? Karen, next question.
Very important
Mrs. Question.
Very important question. Matt wants to know if he can marry me.
Matt, you can't marry her, but you can rent her out occasionally. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can't.
You just said that.
I was just teasing. My dry sense of humor. So, no, Matt, sorry.
Okay.
She's taken.
Okay. A lot of questions. You might want to say something on the keto course.
Okay. So, questions on the keto course?
No, asking about it, how to get it.
Oh, if you are on Facebook, all you have to do, go to Messenger and swipe up and type under keto course or just keto. I think it's keto course, and then you should get the course. That will explain how to do this. If you're on YouTube, what you do is go down in the description underneath the video, and there should be a button there that you can go to Facebook and also type the keto course, because that way you can take the course. And I just want to mention this one thing. There's a lot of extra cool stuff that I'm Instagram right now, releasing videos. They're short ones, they're like 15-second tips. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, definitely go there and sign up. And then also if you're on YouTube, go to Facebook. I have additional stuff on there that you might not see on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube because I have additional videos on there. So I have a lot of different content. I just want to encourage you to share also with your friends and family, because if you like helping people, that's what you want to do, because I give a lot of great content and that's what it's all about. All right?
Question.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you think of a condition that keto would not be good for?
That's a really good question, like the contraindications to keto. And
that was my question.
No, actually, I can't think of any condition. In fact, it's really good if someone has kidney problems, if someone has liver damage, if someone has cancer. It's good if you're even breastfeeding or if you're pregnant. The point I will mention, Karen, is intermittent fasting might not be good if you're pregnant, because you may need a little bit more food to kind of just handle that. So it's a little tricky when you're pregnant or even breastfeeding. So those are the two things I would say, like, kind of watch out for. And then also one last thing, Karen, if you're hypoglycemic, it is the absolute best thing to do, except you want to do it gradually. The #1 recommendation for hypoglycemia or low blood sugar out there is kind of like everyone is agreeing with, is eat frequent meals a day and eat sugar if your blood sugar drops. That is the worst advice you could ever get. You want to gradually go into this, do keto, intermittent fasting, so you can correct hypoglycemia, which is very, very common. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to take a question. It's from Neela from California. Go ahead. You are on the air.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Hi. I really appreciate all the information. You make it so easy to understand. I first, based on your advice, worked on just being healthy. I need to lose maybe 20 pounds, maybe 25, but I'm focusing on getting healthy. And since I have started following your advice and on keto and even trying intermittent fasting, my headaches went away, my brain fog went away.
Wow.
And my main thing was stress and anxiety and worry, business and work. So I'm taking your adrenal support formula, and it's been great. So thank you so much. My question is, thank you. My question is, when I do smoothie with greens, I do eat a lot of greens, raw greens, just solids, vegetables, and I just blend them. Does fiber retain its quality for the gut, or just solids are better?
Like, is there a difference between blending it or eating it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good question. When you're, obviously the ideal scene would be to chew it and consume that 10 cups of salad. Some people might need to blend it. It's a lot easier. It's kind of, actually it's a minor point really. Sometimes I'll do the blending, sometimes I'll do the chewing. Some people aren't used to chewing that much vegetation, so I would blend it. Whatever's more convenient. You're still going to get the fiber. It's still going to be fine, but when you chew it, you just get a little bit more breakdown. And for certain people that have maybe weakness within the stomach or the digestive tract, maybe they should stick with chewing it. But I've not seen a big problem with that. But that's a good question. And I just wanted to mention, next week, from now on Fridays, we're going to be doing the show at 11 o'clock in the morning a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because there's a lot of people from California that don't get up until later. So that way we can actually make it available for everyone. Okay, so that's just a side point. I will send you a video on that. So Karen, do you have a quick question?
Yes. I'm sorry. Don't go away. Yeah, take another call.
Okay. Nina, you're from Maryland. You had a question.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I really thank you for all of everything that you do. I started your program since July, and so far I lost 23 pounds, and I feel good. And I take all the supplements that you suggested for the adrenal fatigue and gallbladder formula, because I removed my gallbladder. And I also take the vitamin K and D3 from you, and hair loss from, formula from your line. My concern is I have a history of osteoporosis, severe osteoporosis. My latest bone density scan was -4.6, and I've been on a reclass shot for every other year and every 2 years for the past 6 years, and of course it didn't work. Now my doctor wants to put me in another injection that is every 6 months, that I didn't know I should go for it or not. But recently I heard something from one of my family, that he's a chiropractor as well, that he told me being in a keto is not good for osteoporosis. The keto stage causes osteoporosis.
Let me explain that, because that's a really important point, okay? Let me just kind of explain that.
Sure.
There's some data on keto that you lose calcium through the urine. So then, oh my gosh, you're going to get osteoporosis. Let me tell you something. The amount of calcium you're going to lose is so minor, it's insignificant. The benefit of doing keto and intermittent fasting is it's going to fix insulin resistance. And that's going to allow your cells to start finally absorbing the minerals that you need, not just potassium, but calcium as well. And and even the fat-soluble vitamins that you need, and the protein, because a lot of your bone is made out of protein and amino acids. So it's absolutely the best thing to do. But I don't recommend calcium to a lot of people, but if they have osteopenia or osteoporosis, That's one exception that you're going to need some high quality food-based calcium on a regular basis. And to actually improve osteoporosis, what you have to realize, it's a pretty serious situation where your bones are losing a lot of stuff. And the point I want to bring up is that it just takes a long time. It's going to take you 6+ years to really start building that back up. So don't give up, stay consistent, keep doing what you're doing, and over time it'll get better and better and better. And probably whatever I'm recommending for vitamin K2, double that. Vitamin K2 is the key vitamin that makes your bones really, really strong. But you want to take that in the morning with fat. So you want to add a little oil or fat to it because it'll start absorbing a lot better. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to give Karen a chance to ask a question.
Give me a chance. Okay, so we have a bunch of questions about sleeping, not sleeping, waking up several times in the middle of the night. What can be done about that?
Okay. So the sleeping usually, one really quick tip is to get the filters on the light because on your computer, because the computer gives off a kind of a blue light, which is very irritating to the eyes. So if you're on the computer a lot, that'll kind of keep you awake. So there's a filter that you can, and I did a video on this, LED computer screen and sleeping. You can get a free filter and then tone it down to more of a yellow light. It's like a candle light, and it's really good for the eyes, and that will help your sleep. But here's the thing with sleep. Sleep usually comes from something. It could be a bladder issue, it could be a digestive issue, or it could be a stress issue. So I would focus on reducing stress. I have a sleep formula that targets the stress point. You probably want to do that before bed. But the point is that you want to go for long walks. And I have videos on how to do acupressure to your adrenals to help you calm down before sleep. I do that every night before I go to sleep. So that's what I would focus on, is something that comes underneath the sleep, which is usually stress and adrenal type fatigue. All right, so because we have a lot of questions, that's all I wanted to point out on that.
Okay, I get another one.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting myth you can address quickly. I've heard if you don't eat many times during the day, when you do eat, your body will store everything into fat, making you gain weight. How does intermittent fasting help you lose weight?
Okay. Well, this is the thing where people think that anything more than the calories that you're burning is going to be converted into fat. Well, not necessarily. It really depends on the type of calorie that you're dealing with. The main thing you need to know, and what's omitted even pre-med school or actually medical school, is this relationship between the insulin factor, the hormone factor, and how it relates to calories. If you focus on keeping your insulin as low as possible to normal, okay, you're going to burn more fat and you're going to prevent gaining more, converting these calories into fat. So I would not, again, have this fixed idea that everything is converted to fat. I would look at the type of calories in relationship to the hormones. So I answered half of the question. What was the other half, Karen? Was it on memory? What was it? What was that?
It wasn't a two-part question.
Yeah, it was. You said with the calories, and then there was one last part after that.
Oh, I don't know. I'm reading like 47 other questions right now. This is a snappy
was a really
process,
good question.
Dr. Berg.
It was a really good question.
You have to keep up.
I know.
You should write it down in your notebook.
Oh, intermittent fasting. How does intermittent fasting? See, I caught that. Intermittent fasting.
It was all the same question. Really,
intermittent fasting does something a little bit cool. I mean, a little bit different. What it does is it causes. First of all, it takes the stress off your digestive system. It takes the stress off the gallbladder. It puts your body into a state where you're preserving proteins, but the main thing it does is it lowers insulin, because every time you eat, you stimulate insulin. So anything that you could do to lower insulin and heal insulin resistance, you're going to do very well, especially if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic or you want to lose weight. So that's why it's really important. It's not about the calorie cutting. That's secondary.
Okay, good. I have another question now. A lot of people saying they're getting hungry. I can't wait that long in between meals. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You're going to get hungry if you eat. Every time you eat, you're going to get hungry. So, and I'm just going to kind of give you an example. let's say in the morning, like right now, it's about 9:49. I didn't eat anything. I'm a little tiny hungry, but it'll go away within an hour. Just kind of like, I'm not terribly hungry, but yeah, you're going to go through a little bit of that maybe, and then all of a sudden, like I'm fat burning again. So it kind of goes in waves, especially in the morning because there's higher level of cortisol and adrenaline going on that might be kind of affecting your blood sugars. But then you're going to adapt right into fat burning, and then you're not going to be hungry. The point you have to realize is that you have to consume more fat at the meal and healthy foods like vegetables to be able to fix insulin resistance, convert your body to fat burning to the point where you're not hungry. And then you want to do that consistently and not cheat, because as soon as you add a meal in there, all of a sudden you're going to spike insulin a little bit, it's going to drop down, and now you're really hungry. So it's something that you're really going to have to be disciplined over a period of time to really fix, especially around the holidays. So you might be hungry right now because you just had Thanksgiving.
Okay, I have another question.
This is the third one, Karen.
I know, but...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to glom this into one question, and then you can handle it however. Things that grow, polyps, cysts, tumors, skin tags, things like this. There's a lot of questions on this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Can keto help?
Yeah. Okay, next question. No. Yeah, no, it does help because keto actually reduces insulin. Insulin is the hormone that makes things grow. And that's why, like Baker cysts, for example, or polyps, that's really high levels of insulin. Insulin is a type of hormone called anabolic, where it builds up tissue. So by doing that, and also in combination with vitamin B1 from nutritional yeast, because B1 deficiencies can also exaggerate the growth of cysts. So if you have cysts and things like that, take the B1 or nutritional yeast, and that will actually help you. And also estrogen dominance will do it too. So these are all things that are important, but the most important thing is to drop insulin by doing the keto intermittent fasting to really correct that imbalance. And for those of you that are just kind of coming on, I want to just kind of give you another little reminder that today is Black Friday, and we are doing a huge special on our website, drberg.com, 20% off. Go there at some point and type in the secret word Dr. Berg, D-R-B-E-R-G, and get 20% off. So it's a great opportunity to save some and check it out.
And I have an announcement.
Yeah.
For all you guys on Facebook, if you want the keto course, you have to put keto course in Messenger. Not just in the comments. You're all just typing it in the comments. So go into Messenger, and that way you'll get the keto course.
Yeah, the keto course is 4 little short videos. If you're new, it gives you the basics. It's a free course. It's awesome. I mean, I don't know why everyone's not going to that, because it's a no-brainer. It's awesome. You're going to learn a lot, and I'm giving a lot of free information away on that. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next caller. What's cool is I just realized that I can see a timer who's been on hold the longest. So now I'll be able to do this correctly. So Reggie, you're from Indiana. You had a question.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. Love your videos.
Thanks.
I've been doing intermittent fasting for about 6 months now, and I've lost 80 pounds, and I really love it. 1 meal a day. My question is, I saw some videos about dry fasting, and that says it's supposed to be great. So what are your thoughts about doing a dry fast?
Now, are you talking about just reducing your liquids, or explain dry fast to me?
Well, I think videos said no liquids, no food. They said they used a lot of benefits, and I was wondering about that. It's the best fast to do is like a 3-day fast with no food and no water, and it's supposed to be very beneficial for your body.
Okay, so that's a really good question. I'm not opposed to doing that, as long as when you're eating, you're getting all the nutrients. But if you're going to do something long term, and you start skipping like 3 days and you go to a day, the only thing you have to watch out for is you're going to have to greatly enhance your diet with supplements, because the food nowadays just doesn't have the nutrients, and so you may end up with kind of some hair loss, and your teeth might fall out, things like that. Other than that, you'd be fine. But if you do this consistently, where you just do 1 meal, it might be a little bit better. But the advantage of doing a couple days without eating or even drinking, it really puts your body into some serious autophagy. and again, I'm not promoting this. I'm just telling you I'm not against it because of the principle of how our bodies were designed.
Do you want to explain again what autophagy is?
Yeah, autophagy is an amazing anti-aging condition where you're not eating and you are stimulating a recycling effect of all the old infected damaged parts of your cells. You're clearing up and recycling and making new proteins in the cell. It's kind of like a recycling, cleaning out the junk, getting rid of the bacteria, fungus, mold, and yeast and candida out of the cells. So that's the benefit of it. Your skin will be amazing. And if you look at, in ancient times, I mean, man has developed not eating 3 meals a day. They'd be lucky, one time they'd get a meal, and the next time, maybe a couple days later, they'd get a couple meals. So our bodies are designed for that, and it almost makes sense that that's kind of what we need. I think it's hard to do, but as far as liquids and things, I mean, you really can't survive more than several days without liquids, so I wouldn't say restrict your water. I don't think that's going to help you. But as far as food, I mean, if you can do it, it takes a lot of discipline. I'm not opposed to it. All right, William, you are from Miami. You had a question about the keto.
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank you, man. I started keto because of you, and I have lost 25 pounds. I still want to lose 10 more. My question is, we started taking CLA, and I don't know if it's good for keto or not, and we're working out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good question. So CLA is a type of fat that's really good for fat burning. You can even get it from doing meats and things like that. Make sure it's grass-fed. If you take it as a supplement, I've heard some mixed reviews. Sometimes it makes a big difference, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not opposed to taking it, but it's a healthy fat that you also get from food. So it's one of these things I would just recommend try it and see if it helps you. It may or may not help you. But one last point about that, about fats in general, one of the missing links that people need to know about is the point on having enough omega-3 fatty acids and not as many omega-6 fatty acids. If we look at over the period when obesity started, it's day coincidence when we started the low-fat diet. But in fact, what happened is we cut out the saturated fats a little bit, but the vegetable oils like corn, canola, soy went skyrocketed, and so did the sugar. So I bet you that created a lot of problem for people, because when you have that much fat, which is omega-6 fatty acids, which is not what you want, especially in GMO, it's going to create a lot of inflammatory conditions. So if you do some grass-fed healthy fats and omega-3, which is flax oil, fish oils, things like that, I think that would be very, very beneficial for just about anything. Okay, Karen, I'm going to give you another question if you wanted to ask one.
So I just want to say this is a prop today, and one of the reasons that I brought it is because it's awesome.
What is it?
Oh, this is the pecan pie.
Pecan pie. Now, how did you get away with I mean, there's hardly any carbs in there, is there?
No, I mean, this is why I brought it, because a lot of people...
Why don't you hold it up so people can see it?
Oh.
And there's a recipe online for this. You can search it out. Just type Dr. Berg and keto. No, it's called a pecan pie. That's right. Get the recipe.
It's called pecan pie.
Yeah, you can get it on their website, or you can get it on YouTube.
Right. So I'm not advocating that you have pie for breakfast or anything like that, but the point is, like, a lot of people refer to keto or intermittent fasting as a diet, really trying the diet. And, you know, we have a lot of recipes on, because it isn't a diet, it's just a way of eating. It's not the concept, we're trying to get that concept of sacrifice and letting go of all the foods you used to love to eat out the window.
Yeah.
Out the window.
Yeah, this makes it easy. And one point, we have an amazing full-time chef that's helping us also create the recipes.
Not in our house.
drberg.com. No, but she's creating these recipes on drberg.com that you have to check out. I mean, there's tons of them, and we're adding them every single day. And the point I want to bring about that is that if you have questions about how to make something, we're going to pretty much make every single recipe you can even envision, from different alternative bread solutions to pasta solutions to simple meals, and they're really, really good and easy. And so those are on the website under recipes. And also if you subscribe, we'll send you a new one each day. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So this will give you the exact carb, protein, fat ratios too, so you don't have to really worry about that. Let me just answer a question from Tamara from Aruba. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been waiting so long.
I'm sorry, 29 minutes. I apologize.
Thank you for waiting.
Okay. So yes, I have a lot of questions, but let me ask you just quickly because, yeah, I'm in Aruba, so I'm international, and sometimes I have a lot of questions that I want to ask you, but I know your time is very limited. Do you have another way that people still could ask you questions?
Well, normally I can give you the speed dial. I can give everyone my cell phone number so you can call me anytime, 24/7.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. No, go ahead. You can also call my office. I have kind of health coaches there that can answer questions if you have a question.
Okay. Let me ask you just quickly. Okay,
Yeah.
I've been on the keto diet. It's been great from April 2000 this year. I've lost my weight. But now I've noticed that when I started, I had good energy, and now my energy gone back down.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
And also, I have 6 kids, and I'm trying to get my kids on the keto diet. I did get them finally, and like some of them, they have like headaches and they're feeling fatigue.
Okay.
What do I do with that?
Okay. Good. So these two questions. The first question I want to ask is, how do you get the energy back? This is a very simple thing. You need the B vitamins. You may want to try this right here, nutritional yeast, or you just get it in a powder. What you're missing is just more Bs. Start adding more Bs until the energy comes back. Vitamin B complex is all about helper compounds that help generate energy, especially in the mitochondria, which I've just been studying. You need to generate energy from the food, but you need these B vitamins, especially when you do keto, to be able to make it all happen. So I would do that, and that should bring up the energy. Now for your kids, for some of the symptoms, it sounds like they're going through some of the keto adaptation symptoms, and what they need is more B vitamins too, and potassium. So you might want to get an electrolyte blend with a lot of potassium or a lot of vegetables. That should get rid of the headaches and any side effects that they're going through. And then the other thing is just to beef up the fat if they're having problems with headaches, especially between the meal, because there could be a blood sugar issue. But I appreciate you waiting that long, and I hope I answered the question. But you can call us anytime, but we have health coaches to help you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Karen.
It's 10:03, but this is from Judy. Judy's watching. Hi, Judy.
Awesome.
Anyway, she wants to know about bullet coffee and keto and intermittent fasting. Can she do bullet coffee?
Yeah, the bullet coffee is basically where you're blending in either a coconut oil or a butter into your coffee, and it makes it really fatty. It makes it easier to go to the next meal. I think that's a really good thing to do, especially when you're starting out, because it makes it easy to do this, and because it gives you a fat in the morning. As you start doing this, and let's say you have more weight to go, and you're not getting there, what you can do is nix the butter, keep doing the coffee if you want, and just one in the morning, because now what happens, now you have nothing at all in your stomach in the morning other than a liquid that will cause no need to increase insulin. So we keep, because every time you eat, it stimulates certain things to increase insulin a little bit, especially, I mean, like anything, no matter what, to some degree. So if you were to gradually go into a state where you didn't need that fat, you could just burn a little bit more fat if you're doing intermittent fasting. However, that being said, the majority of people that do the bulletproof coffee tend to do fine, and they lose weight, and it works for them. So I'm only bringing it up because some people don't lose that little bit of extra. All right. Now the last question is from the Philippines. It's pronounced Pelo. Go ahead. You had a question.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Pelo from the Philippines. Oh yes. my question is, I've been doing keto for 2 months now, and I was trying to gain to gain lean muscle, and I tried keto for me to lose and to heal my insulin resistance. And now my problem is I don't know how to gain weight properly doing keto, and I'm taking my antibiotics in my heart because I have a heart disease. I have an RHD and a mitral valve prolapse.
Okay, so you want to gain weight now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you lost all the weight, now all of a sudden you're too skinny and want to gain weight. That's a better problem to have. And this is kind of an interesting point because you don't want to do it unhealthily. I mean, if you want to gain weight, you just have to add potatoes in there, but then that knocks you completely out of fat burning, and then it creates other issues. So what I'm going to recommend is you start adding more exercise into the mix, and probably don't do, maybe add another meal to it. So let's say you're doing, instead of 1 meal, do 2 meals. If you, instead of 2 meals, do 3 meals. And I would stick with that if you want to gain a little bit more weight, and then add the exercise. And other than that, there's really no other tricks to that because you want to build muscle. But if you wanted to gain more fat, all you have to do is put back in the carbs, do the breads, pastas, and cereal, and starches, and you will, boom, and have 6 meals a day. All right? Hey guys, thank you so much for coming and tuning in. Next week we'll do it at 11 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Karen, for helping out on these questions. You have a lot of good questions. And watch the videos. Stay tuned for more. Okay, guys, have a good one.